Alright, so, hello everybody again. This is, whatever the fuck we call this. Mike on the Rock, I believe, is the name of the podcast.
I'm the mic.
He's the Mike. I'm the Rock. We didn't do our profile pictures this time. Today we have, two special guests because this is a special episode. We have Cyprus. I don't know what the fuck his profile picture is. He's told me before. I don't fucking remember. And we have Nick, who is Kermit the Frog, who is done with everybody's shit.
Yes.
This is the DM podcast, because we're all DMs.
All right.
Yes.
Messages are not welcome.
Girls not allowed.
That's not fair.
On this particular episode, we're going to be talking about like our DM-related bullshit and all that jazz. It might be a shorter episode than normal. I don't know. Depends on how long we, like, yak about shit. I have, like, a list of questions that most of you, I believe, have seen. I think
I'm not.
yeah.
I'm going in blind. I'm going to enjoy this.
The only
I have
person that has it is
questions
Cyprus.
about your questions.
What is the question you have about my questions?
What's the last one about?
That one's a reference. You'll find out.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we'll begin here. I guess we'll go by our talking points. We only have 2 talking points, and the first talking point is not necessarily as a DM, but just as a D&D playing person or tabletop playing person or whatever. How do you think what do you think you would do in the Orc Babies situation? And if anybody would like me to explain this further, I will, like if you need me to set the scene, so to speak.
Yeah, I have no idea what the Orc Babies
Okay, so here's the deal. You're an adventurer, you're in a group of adventurers, and you go into a cave and you kill a bunch of orcs and shit, right? And then you get into the back of the cave, and in there you find a nursery full of orc babies. What do you do with the orc babies?
Depends on your alignment.
What would you do specifically in that situation?
As a person or as a character?
We'll say as a person.
They're innocent.
What do you do with the babies, though?
Well, at that point
We'll say there's
in
like
time-
12 of them.
Well, it all depends on, the situation as it is. I mean, is there somebody I can contact to come, retrieve them? Are they my responsibility now that I've discovered them?
I
Okay.
feel like, in theory, since you killed their parents, you're technically now responsible for the orc babies.
Fuck no.
Extreme adoption.
I mean, what,
not.
what else do? You do you just leave them there? I mean, personally, I don't know what I would. I feel like I'd just leave them there.
If we leave them there, they'll see their dead parents and they'll like get up vengeance and then grow up and then want to do the same thing. The cycle repeats.
No.
is
So
true.
you have to end the cycle somehow.
Are they
Either-
capable of...
These are like we'll say the oldest one is maybe a year old.
So, for me, either we bring them somewhere and put them up for adoption in an orphanage or something, but that really depends on how acceptable orcs are in society in general. If it's just one tribe that's been like very aggressive and the adventurers going there to kill them was retaliation, but like there's orcs living in cities and all that, then yeah, I think the solution would be bringing those children to an orphanage. If it's a world where they are not accepted in society, you either kill them or sell them on the black market.
No, you see, what you really do is you be a metagaming asshat, and you pull out the monster manual and say, they're chaotic evil, it says it right here. Kill them!
Yeah.
But yeah, as for me and Orc Babies, well, first of all, you've just created 12 new D&D adventurers by killing their parents.
They're all rogues.
They're all going rogue, of course. But yeah, I would definitely be like Cyprus and put them in the back of my wagon. Just load them up in a sack and just take them all to an orphanage. Actually, no, I wouldn't. Well, yeah, I'd have to vet that orphanage pretty hard, though. because every time a fantasy character is taken to an orphanage, it's a shithole.
Yeah, this is true.
Honestly,
Then
probably
you
a
get
church
then you
would be
get picked
better.
up by a spy and then in a pretend family.
Of course,
Probably-
the assumption is like imagine I'm like running the game or whatever. Obviously, orcs aren't exactly like.
There just wouldn't be any babies.
I
If it
don't-
were you DMing, like no offense.
Oh yeah, they'd already be dead. Well, no, not in that
Before we
situation.
arrive.
I would.
They died somehow, a heart attack, I don't know.
When you guys killed all their parents, the cave collapsed, and the 30 orc babies in the back all died under the rocks falling on them.
That'd totally be
no.
you.
Yeah, probably.
But I'm curious to hear what Cyprus has to say, if he has anything left to add to this.
I don't really have anything good to add to this. I'm a very situational type of person when it comes to things like that. If the orcs are an abomination in the world, the babies will only prove to be a larger issue, but children are innocent. If it's a fantasy world, orcs are obviously the thing. I killed the parents. Orphanage time. Or set them up to be better people kind of a situation, you know?
Yeah.
It's this is very much a nature versus nurture question.
Oh,
And
definitely.
This is a very rough moral one. So
Mhm.
good opener.
All right, well,
Mm-hmm.
on that then, we'll move on to our second talking point, unless anybody has anything else they'd like to add to the first one.
No.
All right. The second talking point is, what are your thoughts on evil player characters? I'm just going with the generality here, like, what do you think of them in general? Personally, I'm okay with them as long as they're, like, not evil towards the party outright, like they're not stealing from the party or trying to kill them or, you know, anything to do with PvP. While PvP can add, I feel like, a certain layer to the game, it has to be handled incredibly carefully, and it's more like a consent thing with other players or whatever. Kind of like how they're doing it in Campaign 3 on Critical Role with Ashton and Fern, how they're stealing from each other and shit.
I wouldn't call that inherently evil, though.
No.
That's more sibling bickering.
Yeah,
in my
exactly.
Yeah.
It very much varies and depends on the player playing the part. Because some players can handle what that means as, you know, the context. And some players are just, I want to murder everybody because I'm evil. No, that's not the way evil is, actually.
Yeah.
You know, you're just playing chaotic stupid.
Oh, yeah.
Evil is... I feel like evil is more nuanced.
It
Yeah.
can be. It very much can be, and I think it should be played as such.
I mean, in some regards, my character for the Skeld game, Serif, could be construed as evil.
Yeah, but we haven't encountered that
Exactly.
morality issue yet. So I wouldn't necessarily say that your character is evil. We haven't experienced enough of each other's characters to know whether or not they qualify as evil or not.
Gallowin was evil. He was evil as fuck.
Oh, yeah, he was.
Oh yeah, Gallowin. Yeah, definitely.
I do not like to play evil characters personally. I'm more of a player than a DM, but I've dipped my toes in both a lot. But I tend to avoid playing evil. But if I was DMing a game where someone's playing an evil character, like The Rock said, I much prefer if you're evil towards the world and not towards the players, because that can cause some conflict and maybe posted on r/D&D drama or whatever 30 subreddits exist for it.
I mean,
RPG horror stories is my go-to place.
Exactly.
I've played at least 2, maybe 3. If not evil, well, one is definitely evil, but one of them is more morally gray characters. And, well, Chava's a fucking psychopath. I mean, I literally shot a guy last night for just hitting on, like, my girlfriend. Unprompted, like, literally just, like flip a fucking switch, and I blew a hole in his chest the size of a softball. But, you know...
But I don't consider Chava evil. That's very much in line with his character. He's very defensive. He has a very clear stance of, you know, who she is to him. and he's not going to take that shit.
Yeah.
Impulsive is the
He's a
word I would use.
he's a murder hobo.
Yeah.
Very impulsive. I know. I would normally agree with you on that, Nick, but I will not in this case. Chava has done a lot of thoughtful and smart moves. He just tends to be a Jawa. He tends to shoot at everything.
Yeah.
It's the solution for every problem.
It's
Mostly.
not a war crime if you say Utini beforehand. That is just Jawa behavior.
For me, honestly, it really depends on the player. I'd only allow it for players I trust that they will not just be an asshole murder hobo. And also, like, the thing you said, Rocky, about like not steal from the party nor like be detrimental to the party. Essentially, there can be some bits of drama to the party. Like, say their newly formed party, and the evil character, he decides to, steal a little something, and then he gets caught, and then he says like, "Oh, okay, sorry," but like somehow he knows that in order to survive, he has to stay with his group, so like he won't do it again, because there's the difference between being smart evil and dumb evil. And dumb evil are those murder hobos that think that D&D is inconsequential and that there are no consequences for your actions.
Yeah, they play it like fucking Skyrim or Oblivion or whatever, and they just saved.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know what any of this is like. It's been so long since I've been a player. So.
Rip.
I think it all comes down to like people coming into D&D, because like it's very popular, it's gaining a lot of traction and all that in the recent years. A lot of people go into D&D with the video game mindset, which is not the right mindset if you want to play proper D&D. To play proper D&D, you have to go in with the mindset of you're participating in a collaborative storytelling experience.
Yeah, I would say it's almost like actually being in like a stage play more so than playing a video game.
Yeah, definitely. Stage play with like lots of randomness and RNG.
Yeah, like the showrunner's just making it up as he goes.
Also incredibly horny.
Yeah, usually.
I wonder why. Is it because of their role-playing aspect?
Probably. All right, so does anyone else have any further thoughts?
For me, it's about the collaborative experience. Whether the person's good or evil, it's a matter of why are they cooperating and how are they cooperating. Because if you're just trying to be a lone wolf, doing evil for evil's sake, you're not part of this party. Why are you here?
Yeah.
This is why I use Chava as the example. He knows why he's with the group, and he's contributing to the group without screwing them over as some could.
Yeah.
I mean, I try to play Chava as he does what he wants within reason, so long as it doesn't. I mean, sure, he's done a lot of things that would definitely that would and have definitely affected the greater party overall, but I try to play him, where he's mindful of the consequences of his actions, and typically, if the consequences of his actions are more so played towards him, if he will suffer them more, he doesn't necessarily care about that. But if it were to afflict anyone else, of course, when I first started playing him, that wasn't necessarily the case, but it's changed obviously since then.
Oh my god, a character having evolution?
Unbelievable.
I know. Especially with murder hobos.
Yeah. Does anyone else have anything else they wish to say on this topic specifically?
I think I'm good.
I'm good.
All right. Well, I don't really. No, wait, Michael, that didn't sound like a yes.
No,
okay. I don't. We don't have any more talking points, per se. I mean, I guess you can consider the questions talking points. But yeah, I do now. I have a rather substantial list of questions. I believe there's 32 in total. And I suppose we might as well just go ahead and start. So starting off at number 1, what is your guys' favorite thing about DMing, if you have one?
We'll probably go in order here.
Yeah, we'll go in
on the
order
Discord
of
list.
Yeah. We'll say clockwise per se, or should we do Cyprus, then Nick, and then you, or should we do if we go clockwise, it would be technically either
Let's
Cyprus or me. What?
let's just do
Cyprus can
alphabetical.
start.
Let's just do alphabetical. I mean, that just seems to make it real easy. You know.
Yep. Alphabetical. Then Cyprus, you go first, because Cyprus before
Yeah,
anything
I'm
else.
pretty much always starting first anyway. It's the way it works. One of the main reasons that I still love to DM and I enjoy DMing is the response that I can get once I hit some major story points. For my Curse of Strahd game, they're big battles with Strahd. Their encounters with Baba Lysaga. For Star Wars, when you guys met your doppelgangers on Mantha, when you encountered Vader on the session before last, you guys had a visceral's not quite the right term, but you guys had a very major emotional reaction to these story events. And having players invested in the moment and really feeding the story really is what I drive and strive for when I play my games. You know, if I'm pretty much just reciting out of a book, it's not worth it. It's literally just me reading off to an audience. But when you guys can give me the same type of energy back, that's what I look for, and that's what I crave when I'm DMing.
Oh yeah, I totally understand that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's a bit about the same as you, Cyprus. Like also like whenever my players reach a very how to say, like a twist or something like you've planned for like weeks, months maybe. That's been in the back of your mind, and then whenever it finally comes out, like everybody's like,
Oh my
why
god.
and all that, like, oh my god. That that's one of the funs of being DM. For me, I also like it allows me to unleash my creativity because I'm someone with a lot of imagination, but I don't have a lot of medium I can use to unleash that per se. I've tried many things before, and usually it just stays in my head. And DMing has been really what's allowed me to get all those ideas out on something concrete that others can enjoy. And yeah, that's that's pretty much it, I think. Also the fact that I also like being in control. So that's something I like. It stimulates me to have to manage a bunch of things at once. But it can get tiring pretty fast.
But you,
About
Michael.
you, Michael?
Okay. Honestly, it's a combination of what Nick and Cypress said, but for me, it is mostly about creating a world for players to explore. I really like creating a world, but as for the finer details of that world, I tend to get caught up in that shit, and it really hampers my creative ability. Like, I'm getting way better at that. And when it comes to creating stuff, like I'm not letting that little nagging goblin in my brain tell me, "Oh, that's too much detail. That's too little detail." I'm ignoring that shit mostly these days. And since I'm getting a wrangle on that, I'm hoping to DM more in the future because I really love like playing with you guys and having you guys react to stupid stuff in my world. Oftentimes, I'm
The
flying
freaking
by the
door.
seat of my pants, but it's always fun when
The
I DM.
freaking door in that temple.
Yes. It's always fun to have stuff like that, and I'm always incredibly nervous when I DM. Like I'm shaking in my fucking shoes mostly, but once I get in the groove, it mostly settles. But yeah, hopefully I can DM more in the future.
I mean, for like, if I could give you a tip, Michael, like you say you worry a lot about like the finer details, but honestly, a lot of those finer details often go unnoticed. Or what you can do is that you only come up with them on the spot whenever they become relevant. Like,
Oh yeah.
as long as you have the broad thing, the broad stroke of things set up, if your players happen to stumble that finer detail you didn't get to, as long as you have an understanding of your world, it's your own, you should. But
Hmm.
as long as you have a good understanding of the world and how it reacts and how things can happen, you can make that shit up on the spot, really.
Oh
And
yeah.
that suddenly that finer detail that worries you so much, then suddenly is filled. Like, honestly, you're just not having to worry about the finer details for now.
Yeah, and also you guys don't tend to be the ones to, I guess, be the nitpicking kind of players. Like, you don't ask for someone's family line when you just meet them and some shit. I've read stories about that,
Yeah.
about players doing that, and you guys are not that, so that's really gonna help me work on my stuff. when it
Meanwhile, I
comes to
don't
that.
have an NPC's name, and you come up to me and you ask the NPC's name.
Happens to the best of us.
That
Like,
happens
even
every DM.
yes, me especially. I tend to have a list of names, but you guys never ask.
You see,
So I'm like, oh,
I've actually started coming up with literal rosters of the more important people in like villages and shit, and it still happens even to me. There'll just be some random NPC that I'll be like, I don't know, the Vistani human woman over there in the middle of the bar, and you guys will be like, yeah, that sounds kind of suspicious. I'm gonna go over there and talk to that person. And
Well,
there's
you
a
don't
person.
tell me that Vistani woman was something you just came up on
Yeah,
the
oh
spot.
yeah, oh wholeheartedly.
God.
I just came up with that 100% on the spot.
Talk about spontaneous storytelling.
Oh yeah, that's my bread and butter. Anyway, I feel like we've done question one long enough. If we don't keep going, we're not gonna finish.
I mean, I think another question was something about like, yeah, do you prep a lot before your games or do you BS your way through it? I think that's a good transition from where we just left off.
I'd like to do them in order if possible. That way I
Ah.
don't get mixed up.
Okay. We'll come back to it then.
Yeah, we'll get to it. That is not far from where we're at, I believe. This is somewhat of a change. Yeah. Well, me. Well, yeah. Actually, yeah. Everybody but you. Sorry.
I don't have it actually.
Bang!
Hey, I sent it to you as well. It's on Discord. But either way, the next question, it's not necessarily on the same thing, but what is the funniest thing you guys have ever had a player do? I can't think of... Oh, wait. I mean, I've had a lot, personally.
I can go first if you want.
Yeah, sure. If you'd like. Doesn't matter to me.
That one time, like you have that usually very quiet player, and then suddenly they have a magical spark of an idea, and they're like, "Hey, can I go pick a piece of charcoal in the fireplace and go up to that other player's bedroom while he's knocked out unconscious because of alcohol?" And then he goes up there and infiltrates inside his room because he's a monk, and then draws. He at first he wanted to draw a penis on his forehead, but he's an elf with high perception, so like he's like, fuck it, and then he just draw a penis on his floor or his wall. I don't remember. I think it was the floor. Yeah, draws the penis on the floor and then just books it out. And then when that said player woke up and saw that the penis drawn on his floor with charcoal, instead of going through the door like a normal person and going down the stairs, he jumped out the window and then came back into the tavern through the front door and said, "Okay, who drew a penis in my room?" And then everybody was like stone cold face. And then that one player, I made him roll a deception check to hide the fact that it was him. He rolled a nat 1, and his character was bickering like a schoolgirl. And then they're both monks and ensued a hot pursuit in the city, running on rooftop, chasing each other, I think, because yeah, he dragged him to his room and says, "Clean that up," and instead of cleaning it up, the freaking tabaxi monk just jumped out the window, and then yeah, the hot pursuit came from there.
I remember that. That was good times.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
I would
I've been
really...
drawing dicks.
I would really like to hear Cyprus's input on this. What's the funniest thing you've ever had a player do, Cyprus?
I mean, there's been a number of things in our own Star Wars game that I could probably point to. The latest example was a straight man Arden when he was hearing about the poor Deveronian's ass cancer. Head cancer, I'm so sorry. That caught me so sideways.
Yeah,
It was me laughing. It was picked up beautifully on the recording.
that was a great one. That was
It was
fantastic.
But an example from the first Curse of Strahd campaign was we were at the vineyards, the Wizards of the Wine vineyard, and my fighter, the half-orc fighter, he's like just standing there ready and attack, and like swarms of scarecrows and whatnot are supposed to be attacking, and he's describing the battlefield, describing how far off they are, and he's like, "Are they within bonking distance, Captain?" Nope. Hold for bonking distance.
Nice. But as for me, well, I guess. But as for me, the first campaign I ever ran, which was the prison one, Rocky, if you remember.
Hmm.
I think the funniest thing that happened in that whole game, that I can remember at least, is the museum
Oh my god.
break-in.
Yeah, that was pretty great.
Yeah, my favorite part of all. I think. No, you didn't eat. You didn't bite the bread guard as a spider.
No.
He was someone else.
I bit some guy. It was just a guy. I think he came in there to look and try and find the axe that was stolen. And there was nothing in there, and I landed on him and I bit him, and I think he died like right there on the spot. This just normal human being, and I'm just a polymorphed druid spider. I bite him and he dies right there. Just
Actually,
a
I don't
normal
think he
spider.
died. I think you crawled all over him and started biting him, and he was running around screaming.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, just piloting him like a fucking Ava or some shit, effectively.
And also bread guard is a great mention. Like I just made that shit up on the fly.
Bread
I
guard
think it was
pretty
Jacob.
great.
Jacob said something about it. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a guy dressed as a loaf of bread standing there.
Yeah, it was in a bakery, is why.
Yeah.
As for me, I have an animation for the funniest fucking moment I've ever had in a campaign, and that was when Michael and John broke into a guy's house from the fucking basement, walked in, got caught, and then tried to play it off as they were like a circus performing act or something called the Green Idiot and the Abomination. And I won't go into further detail. Anybody listening to this, if you want to see it, there is an animation on my channel, and I'd recommend it because it's funny.
And the best part is I wasn't even green.
Yeah, he wasn't even green. He was red. His skin was red. All right.
Yeah, but best advice I can give for that, always send your martial classes, not your sneaky people, to be your secret agents, because stupid shit happens.
Yeah. On that regard, then I feel like we should move on to question 3, which is similar to the question 2. What is the weirdest thing you've ever had a player do? And I'll take the first go on this one. And
I'll go next.
the weirdest thing I've ever had a player do is take a very plot-centric item and throw it into the fucking ocean while a dragon is attacking them.
Oh,
I
Do
know
you all-
exactly who you're talking about. Oh.
Ah,
All right.
amazing.
So you said you wanted to go next, Nick. What's yours?
Okay, so you guys remember that Paladin, right?
Paladin.
The one that choked a child.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so like, they were like ransacking a lord's mansion because I think they was looking for a particular item. Yeah, they were looking for a particular item, and their group hired the core group hired one of the other players who was a paladin, and he was a devotion paladin, by the way. And they're inside the house. They managed to get inside, and then they go up the stairs, and the stairs like split two ways. And the paladin went on his own on the other side, while the rest of the party went the other way. While the other party members were in a bathroom across the hall, the paladin entered a room, and I start describing a child's room. It's like, oh, okay. And then he looks further in, and I tell him that he sees someone in bed sleeping. So he tells me he wants to sneak up, but he's a paladin wearing chainmail. So he fails his stealth check, but I said you're at the at the bed, next to the bed. But you can see that the child is like moving and seems like to start waking up. And I think the kid says, "Dad," and then the next thing caught me so off guard. It was like weird funny in a sense, you know. He starts choking the child. He tells me he wants to choke the child. I'm like, what? Mind you, this guy, I know this guy in real life. He's my classmate. He's probably just the chillest dude I've ever seen. And then he tells me he wants to choke a child. A blind child.
Oh my god.
And yeah, I'm like, okay, like he's a paladin at the peak of his age, in full armor, and he's choking a child. So I didn't know what to do in that situation, to be honest. The child eventually died, of course, because physics. But they never knew that. Nobody decided to check if the child was all right. And the whole thing, I think that whole thing derailed into something on the side where the Lord came back from a party, and he just finds his dead child on the stairs.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. That's probably the weirdest thing that ever happened to me.
No,
That player had did.
I'm very interested to hear Cyprus and Michael's things, and I'm also pretty sure I know what Michael's might be, and I might also know what one of Cyprus's is, because I've done some weird shit in both of their games. So I have a feeling I'm involved, at the very least. I may be wrong about Cyprus, but I'm pretty sure about Michael.
Did you now?
Yeah.
I'll let Cypress take the wheel first.
It has absolutely nothing to do with any of your games, believe it or not.
That's surprising. Oh my
Wow.
god, what could have happened?
Now, does this have to happen specifically from the player, or can this also happen because of me from the game? Is a good clarification.
Well, the question is, what's the weirdest thing you've had a player do while
A
you're a
player do.
DM? Yeah.
That's why I was clarifying, because I think I lost that in the translation. In that case, go ahead, Michael, because now I have to think harder on it, because you guys are fucked up.
Okay. I don't know which one you're pinpointing, Rocky, but the one that came to my mind immediately was it was actually during the bank heist still, and I think John was playing a werewolf lady. He wanted to be a werewolf, but we met halfway there. But you guys were sneaking, and your character and John's character like failed their stealth check because there was like a guard patrolling, and he was coming over like, "Hey, what's that noise?" And then you guys, I think it was you who started making out with John's character, and he just said, "Yeah, I'll do that." I was like, okay, roll performance to make out.
Okay, that's not what I expected. That was not the one I expected you to say. Man, we have done some weird shit. Although that one's more funny than weird. I was honestly expecting you to say that time that I killed that orc and then skinned him and ate him.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Oh,
Surprised that one isn't the one that came to mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Skinning and eating an orc. Yeah, because he was. The whole plot line I had for that, while Cypress is still thinking, was like he was like part of a group of survivors from the town, and they were struggling to survive. It's like, oh, I need to attack this caravan for my people. That didn't work out so well for him,
No.
to say the least. And he was a leader of a little group of halflings too, to make it better.
I think I even killed, and I don't know if I ate them, but I definitely stuck some of their heads on sticks.
Yeah.
Good times. Good times. For me, anyway, not for the halflings. So, Cypress, have you thought of one yet?
My dwarven player from my Strahd campaign. These are the two that I'm going to bring up the most. One, because they're the freshest in the mind. But the dwarf is happy to be at game because he's with friends and hanging out, but he's not really invested in the games. So he's kind of half in, half out some of the time. He just decides randomly to explore around, not vacated, but a fairly empty city. He's just rummaging around, not finding anything because they left in a hurry. So he just takes a shit in the corner and leaves.
Oh, wow. Simple, but still fantastic.
There's no explanation, just I'm going to take a shit in the corner. Well, why?
Mark your mic territory.
Basically. he's led to some amusing moments, but it's just like, but why?
Okay. Well, on that regard, then, I suppose we can move on to question number 4.
Mm-hmm.
All right. As for question number 4, it is, what are your thoughts on player death?
If it happens, it happens.
Yeah, same, really.
If I have to give an example, in that final fight for the Jin Empire arc in the Revenant game, you guys were fighting General Kai, and Sin was like half in the water, getting stepped on by freaking the incarnation of General Grievous, and then he was about to die. He was really close to death. I think he was down actually, and he was. Yeah, he just got down, and then Ren decided to step away. That was my cue, like, oh well, Kai only has like one target near him in his vicinity. So I was ready to kill Sin's character right there.
Yeah.
I was ready to kill him right then and there. I had a hesitation in my head, like, oh, would it be fair with him? So I just shoot him a message and says, would you be ready to lose Sin? I just asked him that out of the blue. I don't remember what his answer was, but I think he said he was fine with it. So I was about to finish him, but then a giant ape decided to punch the general off of him.
Critical hit.
Yeah.
Critical hit.
Critical hit. Yeah.
Polymorph is great.
Like what? He got kicked into the roof of the building, and then
He took
Aya transformed into a golden dragon and just snatched him into the air.
Mm-hmm. he took like I think 3/4 of his hit points in one attack from
Yes,
Big
it did.
Moke, so it made sense. What about the rest of you lads?
I'm not objected to killing off a player. I'm not against having my own player killed. It just sometimes that happens. It's all a matter of whether or not you're ready to lose said character. I would find it very, very difficult to find a death for anybody in the Star Wars right now. You guys have just ramped up so much that killing any of you off would be an absolutely terrible idea. Unless it's the finale. If you guys start dropping, know the end is near.
Oh boy.
But as for me, I've never really come into the situation because I oftentimes underestimate you guys, and I'm like, yeah, this monster may be too powerful. Let's nerf a little bit, and you guys swamp it, and I'm like, oh, okay. But for me, if I ever came to the situation, it's like, if it hurts the story too much, I will try not to kill you. But if you're being stupid or really unlucky, which happens to the best of us, then it just happens.
I really try my best not to kill you guys. Like, I think I even have a mild phobia of killing you guys. I mean, like, it's because most of the time, most of my games, it's really character-centric. So if I kill you, I'm like, oh shit, what am I going to do now?
Oh, you meet Earl, son of Earl, on the road.
If I kill Fred, we'll just find out Fred had a kid, and, he's the next heir of the sword.
And then Fred had another kid.
Yeah.
He dies. Fred, son of Fred.
I mean, that'd be interesting. What if Fred just dies?
Well, that would certainly get rid of a good plot point.
Yeah.
Currently, that might be a beneficial thing.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry, D-Walt. I mean, I'm apologizing, but I'm totally the one that did it to you.
You know, you had to do it to him.
Yeah.
Never pick up swords in sewers, people.
At least if I'm the
No,
DM.
No. Always pick up a sword in the sewer. Just understand that there are consequences attached to a sewer sword.
Yeah, especially if the sword looks extremely evil.
And cool as hell. All right. Anybody have anything further to add on that question?
If the death is funny, do it.
Fair.
If the death serves the story, do it.
Yes, there you go.
All right.
'Cause I think that's probably the biggest deterrent to a lot of things. Like I said, I'd find it really terrible to try and kill anybody in Star Wars. If it serves the story, it's worth it. You know, the player's also got to be kind of okay and on board with it. But, you know, the whole thing's collaborative story.
I mean, say a player gets murdered by a big bad, that just motivates the rest of the party to go after the big bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So if, as an example, if Lucian were to kill one of you guys in Arcadia, I'm sure the rest of you would want to kill him even more.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, on that note, then, the next question, question number 5. Do you prefer campaigns or one-shots? As for me, I prefer campaigns personally, but one-shots are fine.
I prefer campaigns, but recently I found a formula that I really like. Campaigns with mini sessions.
Yeah, campaigns with mini sessions is a pretty good...
Because you get
mix.
some small one-off game that you can do in between the big campaign sessions. But it really depends on the setting and how the game runs. In Arcadia, it's easy because you guys can have, like, your characters can have downtime from each other. They're not always together. But say in a typical fantasy settings where it's a group of adventurers that always travel together and go to all sorts of places, it's a bit hard for them to be split up. But when the scope of the entire game is within a single city,
Much
Yeah.
easier.
much easier.
As for me, I much prefer one-shots, personally, right now anyway, because it lets me explore an idea really fast and this not really dick around, but basically just give a little short session for you guys, explore my creativity a little bit without worrying about all the details that DMs typically have to worry about in campaigns. But as I said, I'm hoping to change that in the coming months, hopefully.
What about you, Cyprus?
I definitely prefer long run campaigns. Much like Michael, I like doing one shots to experiment with settings or new character concepts and ideas. But one of the neat things about being the DM is obviously I get to test out some character concepts just by making the character as an NPC. But I've been trying to do a few things incorporating some ideas from other games like Blades in the Dark for Star Wars. A couple of things that we've had about keeping track of the force points to track overall progress in a mission, or how effective something is at the climax of a particular session. And I've never really gotten good feedback from anybody on that. I mean, is this a good concept? Is it not executed well?
Which part exactly? I know the way we're doing force points, I feel like, or destiny points, or light side and dark side thing. I feel like that's quite good. I actually really prefer the way we're doing that over the original system.
Yeah.
The ability to reroll stuff is just, I don't know. It may make the game easier, but I don't know. It's just more enjoyable too.
Well, I meant like more specifically with the prison episode from 2 weeks back. I was tracking a timeline for when Vader showed up. By every time you use the light point to reroll or get an item or something like that, and the gradual countdown process. I mean, using that as a counter system.
Yeah,
How
I
was
mean,
that as a concept?
yeah, it was pretty cool. I definitely noticed it was happening, or at least somewhat happening, because none of us had rolled anything, and we didn't need a reroll or anything, but it was still going down for a while there. And I was wondering what that was about, but it was actually a really clever way of doing it, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know now that if we ever notice it, that we need to, like,
Rush, rush, rush.
Maybe. I mean, like I said, it can work as a more permanent concept, or it was a testing of a system, you know? And if I had told you about the timer mechanic, would that have changed how you used your points?
More than likely,
probably, yeah, it probably would have. Because, then we would have known, like, if we run out of light side, then, Darth Vader's or we wouldn't have known Darth Vader was going to show up. We would definitely know something would happen, and just the fact that we would know would definitely influence our decisions in that regard.
Indeed.
Of course, we didn't know what would happen. It could have been beneficial or negative, but either way, something was going to happen, so.
Yes, when the dark side builds up, something good happens.
It depends on whose side you're on.
That's fair.
Well then.
But that's also why I didn't reveal that mechanic, because that would have drastically altered how things could have gone. So.
Oh yeah.
All right, next question. I apologize.
Yeah, it's fine. Yes. I don't know. Nick said he had to step away for a second.
Yeah, I'm back.
He's back. Okay, good. Next question, question 6. If you allow it, how do you handle adult topics in your games? As for me, I typically have adult topics in my games, but whenever whenever it comes to stuff like sexual assault and stuff like that, I typically try to stay away from that, obviously, because it's not a pleasant topic, obviously. I don't think I've had any of it. Oh, yeah, I have. I've had a little bit of it in Glitter and Gold, but it was more so always, I guess, more so like hinted at and never explicitly went into any detail in that regard. And I feel like that's the way that I like to handle it. I feel like that's just, if you're going to have it, you need to tiptoe more around it than you are. You need to, like, step in it like a,
You need to be subtle.
Yeah, you need to be very subtle about it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys?
It hasn't really been a thing for my games.
Of course, I don't necessarily mean, like, that stuff. I also mean, like, gore and blood and
sex in general.
Yeah.
It really depends on the campaign. I mean, I'm not going to be super explicit with the gore when I'm playing a game with an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, little Timmy, you tore it off his head and blood spills everywhere.
I feel like an 8-year-old will think that's cool as hell, though. Probably.
Depends on the 8-year-old.
Yeah, that's true. Me as an 8-year-old, I'd be like, oh man, that's cool as fuck. Can I do that again? Great. You could probably see why I'm like this, actually.
As for me, seeing an out of context scene from Aqua Teen Hunger Force scarred me as a child, so.
Like for me as an adult.
But I guess I'll go next. I think I have had this in my game, my first ever campaign before, and I regret it in a way, because it was like an orc camp and there were like sex slaves there, and I was like, nowadays I don't know if I'd go that far, especially since there were so damn many of them. But yeah, I would probably be a lot more sensitive these days with that. It wouldn't not exist. It really depends on the setting, of course, and the campaign itself. But I would tend to stay away from that.
Well, I mean, personally, though, I feel like the way you handled it quite well. I mean, I've had heavy adult themes. What the fuck? It's like my throat doesn't want me to talk about this. I've had heavy adult themes in every game I ever ran, and in several of my one-shots. Most of my games are incredibly graphic. I mean, you guys know, you've been in them. So, but, like, it's not the point of the game, obviously. It's just, kind of an element.
There are no piss trees.
Yeah, there are no piss trees. You don't have to piss in the bridge troll's mouth to get by, either. You might have to chop his head off, but still.
Depends on if that's what the troll wants. I mean.
Yeah, that's fair. We try to avoid that, though. What about you, Nick?
Kind of a no filter person, so like everything goes by default. But what I do is whenever there's a new group or something like that, I'll always ask questions about everybody's boundaries, and then I go from there.
Yeah, I honestly feel like
So
that's the best way to handle it.
yeah, because you don't want to be either too restrictive on the topics you can handle, or you know, a board and all that. And what else did I want to say? Yeah, there are subjects that where you have to thread very carefully, because even if I say I allow everything, it does not mean I'll always tackle the issue directly and all that.
Yeah.
It really depends. Like, if I have to give an example, in the Arcadia game that's currently running, uh, you guys know things happened in that basement, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's heavily
Definitely, you
implied.
guys. It was heavily implied, and there's Amy, who's a survivor of that, who you guys rescued.
Yep.
That's pretty much as far as I'd go with those kind of teams.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that's the sweet spot where you're expressing it without getting into the weird aspects of it. Like
Yeah.
Implied violence can be just as effective as shown violence.
exactly,
Mhm.
and sometimes even more so actually as well.
Yeah.
Because the imagination is a powerful thing.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Fill in the blanks. I don't want to.
They're all dirty.
All right. Does anyone else have anything they want to say on this question?
I think I'm covered.
All right. Well then. I accidentally underlined it instead of crossed it out. Oops. Okay. Either way.
You'll do the same thing.
So question 7. Do you prep a lot before your games, or do you BS your way through it? Personally, I prep a little bit and then I BS my way through most of mine.
I'm kinda like that, although I prepare quite a bit. And then there's all these things. There's obviously things you can prepare for. Like I said earlier, for Michael, it's really a matter of understanding the world itself, and then you can just BS your way through it because you know how the world works technically.
I feel like
And
for myself, I don't really prep a lot when it comes to most social encounters and stuff. The only stuff I do that's usually prepping involved with prepping is usually dungeon map making and stuff like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
like if we were talking about minute details, Michael, you know in that basement, right? At first, sorry, it's the same basement that was mentioned earlier. I didn't go through a lot of details because everything was heavily implied. But there's one thing I had in the back of my mind is like, then what happened to the victims that are not here anymore? And like I remembered a detail about the basement itself is that the first part is just a dirt floor. And I'm like, oh wait a minute, that's a great idea, a dirt floor. And yeah, I just came up with that idea on spot. I improved it out of the thing because you guys were investigating the place, obviously, so things had to come out eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Like that old expression, you find skeletons in the basement and stuff like that.
Good times for us. Only us.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've expressed much of what I've expressed what I've said before about the words. Anyway, what I wanted to say, I usually fly by the seat of my pants these days. Anyway, like the whole April Fool's one shot. I planned a little bit of that, but I mostly was flying out of the seat of my pants on that. Really fun, by the way. But before, and this is including the Kumator game, I used to write out nearly everything. I would write out what would happen. I would write out what the NPC would say. I would write out all that. I was basically writing a story, but it was so mentally overwhelming for me.
Oh yeah, that's not possible, man. With D&D.
Nah.
Yeah, that you just can't do that.
I know.
Mhm.
I've learned that the hard way, and yeah, I'll definitely take care to not do that.
Like
anymore.
you
Mostly
might be able
improv.
to do it if you've got like 2 players,
Yeah.
maybe.
More than
But,
that, you can't plan for everything.
Nope.
Yeah, that too. But as Nick said, knowing your world is usually enough. But I'd also say, adding on to that, knowing your players and how they usually play is also a great benefit.
Oh
when it comes to
yeah.
planning out
I
sessions.
mean, I know for certain now that if I put a big shiny object in front of D-Walt, he's gonna go right for it. Just be ready for him to possibly be cursed in every game that you guys play with under me with him. I'll see if he learns his lesson next time.
Dude, the dude's even if he doesn't go after shiny things, he just end up being cursed as well.
Yeah.
Like in my game.
Uh,
But Cyprus.
what is your...
What was the question? Because all of a sudden I just forget. Prep style.
Yeah.
I'm very much bare bone outline. I have learned through my holy crap, literal decades of DMing that anytime I try and play a plan of this is what they need to do to take care of things, they're going to destroy the castle. It doesn't matter if I put the big shiny object in front of them to do, they'll do something else entirely. Could it be a lack of proper description on my part? More than likely. Absolutely. But I'm writing a book at that point, and that's no fun for anybody to play through. So
Yeah.
if I hit the outlines, if I hit the things, like you guys meet up with the doppelgangers in the prison, it satisfies my check mark, and you guys can react to it as you need, and you guys react to it beautifully. I had a BX battle droid try and murder a double because there can be only one.
I would have done it, but there were more important things at hand. Also, I was afraid if I hit him, then it was going to activate blast, and I was going to kill like 6 people all around him. Good times.
I will have a question at the end of it. If we do not have it, ask them beforehand.
Okay. Then I believe we're done with question 7. All right, then. Well, on to question 8. If you improv, what improv moment became a major part of your campaign? And as for me, probably the sword. It wasn't supposed to be like this big plot, like central thing, but it sure the fuck came one.
A small sword in the sewers.
Yep.
Me next.
Yeah, go ahead.
The doppelgangers.
Oh my god, yeah. That's great.
They have become a foil for you guys, and I don't fully understand the concept sometimes, but you guys have such a strong, favorable, if it a bad reaction, but still favorable reaction to them. Every time they show up, I can't help but insert them.
They are our Ned Flanders.
Yep.
They are totally our Ned Flanderses. Or our Dinkelbergs. I feel like Dinkelberg would probably be a more apt comparison.
I wouldn't even call them a Ned Flanders or a Dinkelberg. They're just you guys from an alternate universe, basically. I mean, honestly, how did I do with the inflections on characters?
Pretty damn great.
It was great.
Thank you. I tried. I really tried hard once the concept really came to me. It was just like, I definitely gotta start talking like Fortuna as much as I can with Storbuna.
And, the fact that Fortuna hates it when it's thrown right back at him is amazing.
The reactions from Cody on that seriously makes me wonder if I'm seriously pissing him off at this point.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
What about you, Nick?
For me, oh sorry.
No,
Sorry,
please go ahead.
Well, were you about to finish something?
Just a reflection on my feelings towards it. That's all. Please continue.
Alright. For me, again, I'm gonna go back to your basement. God, like I think.
This basement
Okay.
is weird.
So the fact you guys got the keys to the guy's house. Wait, no. I think I go even way before that. You know that whole kill him thing I did to you, Rocky?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when a major patron say kill him, that was totally on a hunch.
Oh wow, that's
That was a
great.
hunch. I was like, what would happen if I had her patron order her to kill the VIP? Sure, why not? And then you got his keys, raided his house, and now you rescued a woman from his basement. And now this lady, I didn't even know what to do with her really. And like I gotta give her a backstory. And whenever you guys started pressing on it, I just randomly came up with the fact that she's a girl from the upper city, and that the implications of her being from the upper city are just so goddamn vague that a lot of I started thinking about the whole plot for the upper city if you guys ever go there. And then it came up with that detective lady that's after her, and then that detective lady is probably going to be become perhaps a bigger figure in the whole schemes of things. That I think just from that kill him moment, it blew up,
Oh
and now
yeah.
everything's intertwined in that campaign.
The way I feel like Zoe is, she's very close to her patron, so she's probably gonna do whatever she asks her to do within reason. It's honestly a good thing that, like, he was kind of a bastard, or shit might have went completely a different direction.
Yeah, it could have went many directions.
Oh yeah. As for me, as I said, I used to basically write movie scripts for my D&D game. So I can't really think of any improv that changed much. If I'm being honest, so it's been a while since I've DM'd those games, and they're probably not coming to me. So sadly, don't have much to add to this topic.
That's all right.
Well,
Maybe in
you
time.
learned, you learned what worked and what didn't work for you. So I mean,
Yeah,
you can
that's
only have more stories in the future.
indeed.
Okay. Well, and I believe on that regard, we're done with question 8.
Mm-hmm.
Strike through. All right. So on to question 9, which is, what is your least favorite and most favorite player trait? As for me, I would say my most favorite player trait is players that are really hands on with the game. Like I don't know. It feels nice whenever you guys are like really trying to figure out how to do something or whatever. You're all really engaged and all that jazz. And as for my least favorite, I don't really know. I'd have to think about it.
Well, while you think about it, I can go with mine. The favorite thing I like about a player is a player that knows what they want to do, especially when it's their turn. So whenever I say it's their turn, they already know what they want to do, and they just don't go for like a minute. And then whenever they decide to go for a spell, and they spend another minute for choose a spell, and then another minute to read the spell, and it gets on. It slows down the game and everything. So I like it when players are acting or they're in the moment,
Yeah.
And my least favorite is the opposite, when players don't know what they want. Particularly when it comes to backstory, and then they just come up with a character that I have little to work with, because they didn't bother to write out anything much, or like the details are superfluous or not even existent. And even worse, when I provide things that they can fill out so I can know about their character, and they just reply with I don't know. That's the worst thing. Like when I ask you the question is literally, you pissed off someone in your life. Who is this rival? And they say, I don't know. Like, yeah. I know your character, you want to play a kind-hearted character and all that, but it's impossible to live your whole life without at least pissing off someone once.
Yeah, I get you.
Mhm.
As an individual that like, whenever I create a character, I like to like, I feel like I like to think them out, but at the same time, I also have to feel the character out, so sometimes it's hard for me to answer questions like that.
Mhm.
Which, you know,
Yeah.
I get where you're coming from, though.
And as for me, now I'll take the wheel on this, I guess. As for me, honestly, I think my favorite thing is just players interacting with the world. I'm a very world-centric person when it comes to the game. Uh, just like goofing around, even if you're just goofing around and like starting bar fights and shit. I think it's just a lot of fun when players are just like getting immersed in the world. They're just having a good time. And I think my least favorite player trait, it would probably be, I guess, someone who's, I guess if they're too meticulous about the world, as weird as that is, it sounds like I'm contradicting my first statement. But yeah, the player who's very meticulous, it can get kind of frustrating, I suppose, because sometimes you just don't think that far ahead, and they really want you to flesh out something that's not very important and all that stuff. And that, again, that sounds hypocritical for my first statement, but it's very weird for me.
Sometimes people can have personality traits that conflict with their own interests, of course.
Yeah, definitely. Cyprus.
I really embrace a player when they have ingenuity to their character. When they can get into the game so much that they start thinking around their typical form. Curse of Strahd, the half-orc fighter that I discussed earlier about bonking distance. He decided that he was really going to start going down a chef line. He picked up the chef feat and everything. They were visiting a very decrepit place, very low on supplies for food, cut off from the main supply areas, and they've got a small contingent of soldiers trying to defend this place. Him, in conjunction of working with the sorceress, using create food and water, literally made a soup kitchen basically for the soldiers.
Bruh.
And for an in-game moment, that was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I had to reward them. There's no way I couldn't. Basically, they were going to have a lot of diplomacy in order to get to see the main character of the area. But by doing this at this outpost, they gained a Benny to just basically clear that whole process. Show this to the guards. They'll let you see, the general immediately. Because that's my personal token. I can't.
Nice.
That's a trait that I love in my players. That is the shining example that I can pull out right at the moment. But everyone in our campaign has done the same thing in one time or another. Cody as Bortuna bullshitting his way into the alliance for everybody.
That was
was
great.
amazing.
That was amazing.
Shooting a Deveronian across the ship. The trait that I really hate the most, and hate is strong, but it's something I really, really super dislike, is just the non-investment. The people on the phones, off dicking around and not paying attention to anything going on. The
Yeah.
people that are multitasking, they're fine. They still have the situational awareness to know what's being said, know what's going on. But the people that have you repeat what just happened, and the only reason they're prompted into even asking about that is because you said their name about some sort of action you want them to do. That
Yeah.
drives me up the wall. Why are you even playing? Why are you with us if you're not even going to invest in it a tiny fraction?
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely one of the great banes of DMing.
Mm-hmm.
Is the
But on the counterpoint to that, sometimes it's the speed of the game is just not right for the player. The consistency of the group is not right for the player. The DMing style isn't right for the player. There's
Yeah.
a lot of factors here that can make that problem.
Yeah.
It's not easy to peg down all the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I've had players who were not invested, I'd say that. Or I felt like they were not invested. Because sometimes whenever it's their turn coming up and I said that, they're like, oh, what? It always takes them a good 30 seconds before getting their bearings and then they do something. Because they were doing something on the side. And when that something on the side is playing Genshin Impact, I'm like, yeah, at that point, you might as well just go play Genshin Impact and I'll play my game. You know? So, yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm on you with that.
Jack 3 would be more distracting, but I gotta give it right there in the game.
My man
Yeah.
can multitask. Apparently.
That's why I have given him no shit about it. I just let him know, hey, it's being picked up on the mic. Just giving you a heads up. And he adjusts appropriately. How can you argue with a player like that? At least he's being considerate enough to actually do something about the situation. And
Oh, yeah.
he's paying attention. He is aware of what's going on. I don't have to re-prompt him. You know?
Yeah.
All right. I feel like we have spent an appropriate amount of time on that one. So now we are on to question 10, which is, what is/was your favorite big bad evil guy? And for me, it's obviously Terralax.
I mean,
man.
Now,
I've
if
only
I come
had-
from a player standpoint, though, it would definitely be General Kai.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, now that you mention it. Like, I think we have to define what BBEG in this case.
Yeah,
I
would
guess-
agree with Nick on this one. We gotta
Because
define-
BBEG is usually the term used for the one big boss at the
Okay.
end of it all. You know?
All right. So, in this specific context, it is your most memorable
Boss?
flavor bad guy. Yeah, your most memorable boss. It doesn't necessarily have to be the end boss. It could be your mid boss or even the first boss your characters fight. For me,
Honestly-
it's still Terralax.
Honestly, yeah. I'd agree on your point about General Kai. I think that was my favorite one to play as. Because he was... For the first time ever, I've had players run away from an
Oh, yeah.
encounter.
Yeah.
Something that never happens.
Something I really
When
liked
your
about
players are
that.
running away from the big bad.
Something I really, really liked about that encounter specifically is the aftermath as well.
Oh,
Man, those were some of the most emotional moments in the Revenant campaign.
I also decided to play what's the song? Leaves from the Vine.
Yeah, by Anna Panzer, yeah.
Yeah. It was so fitting as a song for
Yeah,
that
really.
section, really. But honestly, I also really like Lucian and the Arcadia campaign. There hasn't been much of him yet. There are a lot of things hinted towards him, and that's what I like about this big bad is that he's not your typical big bad that shows up and kick your ass. You know, he's the more subversive kind, the more sneaky one,
The true
We'll say
big
that.
bad, per se.
the true big bad. Yeah.
The TBPEG.
But as for me, I'd have to go to my first campaign for this. But you remember that creature that like had tongues for eyes, Rocky?
The one I kept seeing in my dreams.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was eventually going to be a threat you guys would have to face. He would have many different forms depending on the player, and like, as in he would look different for each character depending on their worst fears. And as you can see, I love to dip my toes in horror. It's probably my favorite kind of game to play. That's why I love. No, I'll get to that when we get to that question. But that has to be my favorite.
I still don't have the question.
I don't have the questions in front of me, but I was there when Rocky was making them. But yeah, I think that was probably my favorite, just from the concept alone, because I love that kind of psychological horror kind of shit.
That's some like fucking H.P. Lovecraft shit right there.
Indeed.
It makes me sad that I didn't have a chance to run Strahd with you guys. To be honest.
Maybe someday.
maybe someday when I've got a non-Strahd campaign running, and we've got the time and ability to invest in it, because there's a flavor to horror which we don't have for Star Wars at all.
Mm-mm. Unless we go into the Sith zombies or the or the other zombies, which probably won't because I don't think that's canon anymore.
It's not really. I don't feel like that's really our style anyway.
Death Troopers is canon, I believe.
Mm.
And regardless, we're not on Star Wars. Yes, that is my holdup. Unfortunately, Rocky, and you nailed it on the head. For us, the group as a whole, that's not our style. So, playing that style of game, as much as people may like that, it would devolve. It would no longer be Curse of Strahd, it'd be Weekend at Strahd's.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
Weekend at Ravenloft.
to be fair, whenever we had that mind control sequence, I feel like that was as closest as we could get to that style of game, and I feel like it was pretty well executed, honestly.
Yeah, we're playing Always Sunny in Star Wars
Yeah.
right now.
Right now.
I also really loved how the whole space worms thing became like it became like the literal plot point of our holiday special. Effectively, that was great.
I'm glad you enjoyed that.
That's great.
Space Worms kept coming up so much, I had to do something with it. I mean, you can't- when it's been hinted at subtly or non-subtly, you have to reward. You know,
Oh, yeah.
can't keep mentioning Space Worms and do anything but Space Worms.
Okay, I feel like we've spent enough time on this one as well. Let's move on to question 11, which is, what is the thing you dislike most about DMing? And for me, and I'm sure this sentiment is shared by a lot of people, it's scheduling. It's a pain in the ass. Fucking hate it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Scheduling is very, very rough, but
Mhm.
you know, it depends on the group, honestly. For me, the thing I hate the most about DMing is getting players to sit consistently at the table to play.
Fair.
Yeah.
No offense, guys. It's really hard trying to develop the story and get people invested when people are popping up and out of the game because it's an online game.
Mm.
It doesn't have the same feel as an in-person campaign.
Definitely.
And
Yeah.
I don't mean to be rude. I don't mean to call you guys out. It's just you asked.
Yeah, we understand. Yeah, that's. I feel like that's also just one of the issues with online D&D.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I wasn't calling
Yeah.
our group specifically because of that. It's
Mhm.
inherent to the whole online problem.
Yeah. I feel like we're lucky as a group here that we're able to have games on every weekend, and also we have two DMs who alternate each weekend.
Oh, yeah.
I have that as a problem.
You have that as a problem.
Yeah.
Huh.
I have a family.
Yeah,
time,
right. I completely
Weeknight.
forgot you're the only father here.
I'm the old man. My role is village elder, sir. You will respect that.
I am only a dad in spirit.
He sure
Yeah,
fucking is.
with your puns, damn it.
There's nothing wrong with your puns. Embrace it and enjoy.
Yes.
No fun allowed.
Except it deals psychic damage to everyone else.
Oh, speaking of dad jokes, psychic damage, I would actually suggest the D&D podcast solely because they made that a focus. Fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna show other people's stuff on here. That just seems rude to you guys.
Yeah, we're not professionals or anything.
Well, maybe
Um,
that's the problem.
I don't know.
Man,
What
I'm
I
always
dislike the
jumped on
most-
hill. Sorry.
Go. What you're saying?
No, I was just joking around. You go.
What I dislike the most about being a DM is not being able to give everyone a chance, especially in a big group, a spotlight to everyone. Because, like, I'm trying to make sure that everyone's enjoying their time at the table. But when you have 6 players, kind of hard to balance in the attention in between all of them. Obviously, some players will get more attention simply because their character are more tied to the world, and it pisses me off a bit that there are like other characters that can't, do something about it to make their enjoyment of the game better.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've got 2 players in Star Wars that I feel really bad that I can't get them as much focus as I
Mhm.
can the others.
Yeah.
Can anybody guess the 2?
Bortuna and Chava. I'm just fucking with you. It's obvious. It's really obvious, actually.
Yeah.
Which, it is very difficult, like, with so many players, and even just sometimes the characters themselves, like the players, some of them just have much more natural charisma, and it's really easy for them to even, like, accidentally steal the spotlight or, etc. It's one of those like, nuanced but also like really difficult things to fix. Or
Yeah.
sometimes you can't fix it. Sometimes it just is that way and it can't really be
Yeah.
remedied.
Sometimes it's not the DM's job to fix it; it's also the players
Yeah.
that they have to do it between themselves.
Like if they don't want to do it, then trying to get them
Mhm.
to isn't going to work either.
Which is half my issue, because am I not giving enough of a plot lead to them? Am I failing to pick up on the threads that they're interested in?
Well,
Things like that. you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I won't go into any like extra communicative I won't branch paths here because I feel like we need to keep on track, but the biggest thing I feel like is I kind of feel like they may still have the mindset of, oh, we're still just temporary characters, so to speak, I don't think it's your fault. I think it's just that they're still feeling their way into it, so to speak.
One of them is filling out much more appropriately as one of the new players than the other. But the other one, I'm having a hard time giving the focus that they deserve because, unfortunately, the role they chose is much more support. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out a good way to bring them a limelight. And believe it or not, that one of those 2 options was not who I was talking about.
Huh. Is it?
It's not the 2 newest players. It's one new player and one existing, one of the older players, I should say.
Veteran.
Is it John?
No, actually, I feel really bad because it feels like I'm losing focus on Cody.
Aw.
Cody feels much more supportive. He has progressed his character to a point of being able to take more of a focus in limelight, and I'm proud of him for it. But it feels like I'm losing the ability to give him a better
Narrative?
story, better narrative. Yes, but then again, we are coming back to Hut space. We're going to be dealing more probably with the Hut, which is really his prime background area.
Oh, yeah. All right. Does anyone have anything further to say on this? I feel like we've kind of ruminated on this one a bit.
I think Michael hasn't spoken about it. Did he?
What was the question? I got lost in the details.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's the thing you dislike most about DMing? What's the thing you
DMing.
dislike most about it?
Okay, I think the thing I dislike the most is more. This is definitely a personal thing, but like I said before, the anxiety that comes along with it.
Oh, yeah, that fucking
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah, it
But-
sucks.
That's probably just my biggest problem. I haven't DM'd enough to really experience a wide variety of issues. But
Mm.
yeah, it's mostly just the anxiety.
I won't lie, I've almost quit DMing several times because of anxiety over it. It's a stressful goddamn job. It's not a job,
Yeah.
but it's stressful.
Hmm.
The stressful position.
Yeah. Well, on that, I feel like we should probably move on to the next question, which will be a lot shorter and easier to answer. How many campaigns have you guys ran? As for me, I've only ran like sort of 3, and I've only finished 2.
Mhm.
I've only finished 1.5.
I have 2 campaigns under my belt. Both of them are ongoing, but one of them is on hiatus while I'm playing this one out. So the one on hiatus is the Revenant, and the one that's playing right now is Arcadia.
Mhm. As for me, this will be incredibly easy. I have run 2 campaigns and haven't finished either. Hopefully, as I've said countless times, that'll be remedied in the future.
You can always start another one.
Yeah.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
I'd love to play it in another game of yours, time, Michael.
Same, really.
It'll definitely be more horror focused. I'll give that as a preamble.
I would just be excited to play in a game.
Yeah.
That's been my major issue right now. Is I am a DM. I am a DM first and foremost, and I love the fact that you guys want to include me. You guys play when I am not available.
But how many campaigns have you ran, Cyprus?
A lot. I have run at least 3 for 3rd edition. Bullshitted my way through a 2nd edition way back in the day. A couple of D20 moderns, at least 2 Star Wars revised editions. Obviously, I'm running this Force and Destiny. Force and Destiny is the name of the particular rulebook. Fantasy Flight game. I never did 4th edition. I got the core books for it, realized it really wasn't my speed, so I never played 4th edition. And then I technically 2 for 5th edition, though the second one is still technically a continuation of the first one. So I mean, it's kind of a rough, tumbly, concentrational bit right there. So, about 10-ish.
Nice.
That's quite a few.
That by far does not make me the most qualified. It just means I have the most fuck-ups.
You walked so that we may run.
Yeah. Completed campaigns, at least 1. Then it continued on to a 2nd one, so I mean, kind of hard to continue it if I don't finish it, so.
Okay, well, on that note, let's move on to the next question. We're not going to be able to finish all these today because we've already been here for like an hour and 30 minutes, and we're only like not even halfway through. So we'll get to question 16, and then we'll finish up. And we'll do like a part 2 to the DM podcast.
We should probably do a part 2.
Yeah.
Mike and the Rock XL edition. Guitars.
We'll sell it as a DLC.
All right.
Patch it in later.
Question number 13. What is your favorite cliche game starting point or condition? For me, definitely Tavern. It's easy.
Yeah, the Tavern, to be honest.
Yeah, for me, Tavern as well, because it's just such a nice gathering place of interesting individuals, usually.
I mean, it's cliche, but it's cliche for a reason.
Yeah, I was about to say. There's a reason they're cliche.
I mean, Arcada started sort of in a tavern. It's actually a diner and not a tavern, but, you know, it's still the same thing.
Close enough. All right.
No, it's nice.
Well, that was a pretty easy question to answer.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to the next one then. What inspired you to become a DM? As for me, I don't know if I really had an inspiration for it, but I just really liked to come up with things in my imagination, and having them play through with other people just makes it way more satisfying.
You're a control freak by nature.
I can't help it. I'm sorry.
But as for me, one, you were an inspiration for me, Rocky.
Thank
to
you.
be a DM. And another person is Spoonie, a big fellow who got me into D&D in the first place. He's on hard times now, but I wish him nothing but the best, because I wouldn't be here if it weren't for him. So, that's for me.
I was playing, D&D, because it was still 2nd edition when I started. It was before 3rd edition. Everybody get me my fucking cane and walker at this point. And we were just having a blast. His mom ran the games. I was still learning, but it was very much I wanted to stretch what I could do and couldn't do with that style of storytelling. And I just picked up a game to DM just to pick up a game to DM. A couple people, me, my friend, his friend who joined us most of the time. You know, I picked it up because I wanted to.
For me, yeah, I think it's because I was kind of forced to be in the DM's shoes. But I liked being in the DM shoes, so that's why I kept doing it. But for me, it all goes back to when I first discovered tabletop RPGs. I was watching some French guys playing some kind of custom rule set they had. They came up with the rules on the spot, and well, on the spot, quote unquote. But like, it was no like system they took. They actually made their own, and they started from that. It was narrative focused all the way from the end, and I really love the concept. But I was that weird friend in my group, let's say, that came up with this idea of tabletop RPGs and if we could play that and all that. And some of them were on board. I got Dewalt on board because he was my online friend. And well, obviously, if you get people on board who are not familiar with the game, you kind of have to be the one that have to run it. So I end up being a DM just because I was forced into those shoes. But the thing is, I discovered that I really love being a DM because, for the reasons I stated earlier, I can unleash my creativity and I'm in control. So, like, yeah.
Fast forward about 5 years later, and we have the SpongeBob meme. Like, oh, you used to look so happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then it was just a matter of finding the right people to play with because I had very inconsistent players. But then I find you guys, so.
And then they all
I
lived
am the
happily ever
apex.
after.
I am the apex through which this universe has collided.
Well, I think that pretty much settles it for that question.
Mm-hmm.
On to question 15, second to last. Do you enjoy DMing or playing more? For me, definitely DMing, but I do like to play.
I'm on the same board as you. I like DMing more, but I want to play from time to time. That's for sure. So the fact that you and me have that deal of like we alternate each week is just the perfect deal.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. As for me, I'm definitely a player because I love coming up with characters, exploring their personalities, backstories, and all that. I love playing a character. I'm a thespian, first and foremost. But yeah, that's just me, man. Cyprus.
It alternates. When I've done a lot of DMing, I want to be a player. When I've been a player for a long time, I want to DM. There really needs to be an alternation to feed all points.
Oh, yeah.
I like being creative. I like giving you guys a story. But eventually the well starts drying up. And the best way to fill that well is to be the player and having someone else's ideas pour into you. It's a very much a give and take.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think another reason I like really being a player and exploring characters and such is I like playing a role in a story. I don't want to be the main character, but I just like interacting with the world, you know? I like having an impact. I like my actions having consequences. Like if I'm an evil piece of shit, I want the town to want to throw me out and all that stuff. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
All right. Anyone have any more further input on that one?
Nah, I think
Nope.
All right, then. This is actually a really good question for us to end off on. Question number 16. What is the best/worst way you have killed a PC, if you have killed one?
I never killed anyone.
Yet.
Yet. But the one time I almost did, the fight with General Kai, I feel like if a player goes down in a final fight, that's the best way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Mhm.
As for me, I don't think I've killed any characters, actually. I mean, I haven't run enough games to do that. Obviously,
I
actually, no, I
almost died
have.
at that temple once, I think. I
Yeah,
went down, but I never died.
yeah. I'll have to pull for my one shots. The last one shot I did, the April Fool's one, where I had Chris Chan take over the world. It was amazing. Everyone was gonna die, but it was really funny.
I
Oh,
just
wait.
realized two things.
Hmm?
One, the answer to this question, and two, I got skipped on the BBEG question.
Did you?
Oh no.
Oh, no.
Oh, we'll come back to that.
Yeah, we'll do that after. It's fine.
Outs.
Uh, can I go? Actually, I think it was a lie. I actually did kill players, but it was not in D&D. It was in my custom XCOM rule set, and I did a one shot for that. And at some point, a singular grenade killed two player characters.
Wow.
One of them got kidnapped, and only two got out alive. No, three got out alive. Yeah. One of them hasn't have been hit a single time, and it's the only one player that has played XCOM. The
Wow.
rest of them never played, so they got really fucked.
I would say I've killed a lot of players, mainly just Michael, honestly. He's 90% of my player kills. So
Yep.
my favorite and or most memorable player death is probably that time I killed Michael's character Nightblade. That was by far my favorite death that I've ever brought into being.
It was glorious.
Don't click stalagmites, kids. Stalagmites might come to life and eat you and then blow up.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think I should have died the day where I decided to throw a rock at a roper.
Yeah, I mean, you guys almost died. If it would have kept attacking,
But
you,
it was
probably
like
would've
our
killed you
first
guys.
one shot ever together, so like.
Yeah, I didn't want to kill anybody yet. In fact, I don't think I've killed a player since. Who's the last player I killed? I mean, I haven't killed a character in a mainline campaign in a while.
I think the last character you have killed was Malar, the character before Oldar.
Believe so. Well, no. I mean, theoretically, even if I had to go with serious deaths, it would probably be Oldar and Casimir whenever they fought Sapphire. Those were some pretty good deaths, too.
Oh yeah. The Cyprus.
It's probably got to be the Paladin from my Strahd game. They had encountered the Lich in the Amber Temple. It had been powered up by a quick visit from Strahd, so it was basically at full capacity. When you got like 6 level 13 characters, CR20 is not really a huge issue. But they wisely decided to not screw with the Lich. The Alchemist had been down. The Paladin came over, used his Lay on Hands ability to kick him back to life before getting shot by disintegration.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
It was a pretty powerful moment because it was just like, kick, get up, and dust.
Rip
Damn.
the Paladin.
Well, don't rip the Paladin yet. Thanks to the style of the campaign and the rules of the world that I have established, he was already a reborn.
Hmm.
And because he's a quote-unquote native of Barovia and was killed inside the borders of Barovia, Barovia reformed him.
Ooh.
He shall live on.
Look, do you guys know the basics of the Ravenloft setting at all?
I do, yes.
The only thing I know is the Strahd knowing where paladins are thing.
Well, not everybody in Barovia has a soul. There's lots of people, not so many as like a traditional world, but there's a number of people, but only like 1 in 10 actually have a soul. Those who die in the lands tend to stay in the lands. He's a reborn paladin through, oath and the fact that he was already technically an undead. He's already a part of the lands. So, through DM narrative, that allowed him to be reborn again.
Nice.
It had also been established that he died at the end of the first campaign and was reformed between that and the second. So there was already precedence to being reborn. So was not an asshole.
All right. Next.
What about your
BBG?
BBEG, Cyprus? Yeah, your favorite BBEG.
Baba La Saga. Same campaign, Curse of Strahd.
Nice.
The characters had split the party. 3 of them went to Berez to attempt to recover one of the Wizard of the Wine's gems. And they encountered La Saga in her hut. Thought she was a standard person and attempted to go after her.
Foolish.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The sorceress evoked one of the tiny huts. You know, nobody can get out. Nobody can get in unless they're already in it, kind of a thing. And nobody can get out. You know, everybody can get out if it was cast inside and everything like that. You guys know the spell?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Except they cast it with La Saga inside of it. So La Saga just casts Cloud Kill in the fucking hut.
That's
It
so
was a
funny.
bad time.
Yeah.
I gave a couple of the players PTSD because as they were attempting to run away, she just polymorphed them into goats. It was a rough day in that session, and it's been very memorable ever since. If I mention the name La Saga, I still get eye twitches.
That's funny. That's great.
Amazing.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's effectively all the questions, but I have one last question for you guys to send us out on. As DMs, do you force your players onto a boat just to throw wicked ass monsters at them, or are you a liar?
Liar.
I totally fucking do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, wait a minute. Like session 0, mate.
Yeah, boy.
Shit, red dragon attacks our goddamn boat. Oh my god! I just finally understood that question now.
Believe it or not, that's a reference. The fact that I've actually done it is just a happy coincidence.
Oh my god! But yeah, I'll totally do it.
Hell yeah.
I believe the better form of this have you had to railroad your players, and everybody has railroaded them.
Get on the fucking boat.
I mean,
Get in the damn robot, Shinji.
Yeah.
forcing your players onto a boat just to throw wicked ass monster at them. Totally not foreshadowing for the next part of the Revenant campaign.
Oh boy. Well, at any rate, this is effectively the end of part 1 of this. We'll get part 2 out eventually. But everybody, it's been real. Real what? I don't know. That's
Real
Fun.
amazing.
It's
That's-
been real, but it hasn't been real fun.
yes. No. You say goodnight, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Everybody.
Subscribe to the channel, you fucks.